kindness and love that you shower us every day of our lives. Today, as we gather for this special event, we humbly seek your divine providence to help us share your grace to others. Help us engage in meaningful discussions by giving us wisdom, understanding, and guidance. Help us learn and grow and love one another so that we can become better children of yours. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our guest, of course, Dr. Fiorelio Abines. Good morning, sir. To our university president, Dr. Alberto Noteri. Good morning po, Sir President. To our vice president for research and innovation, Mamonet. Good morning, madam. To the other directors and all our colleagues and friends from the university, our students, our campus administrator from the Calabanga campus. Good morning, sir. Our students, good morning everyone, and welcome once again to Balik Scientists, the case for Nypa fruticans as feedstock for bioethanol production. And right now, to welcome us all in this gathering, may I now welcome on stage our Vice President for Research and Innovation, Dr. Ramona Isabel S. Ramirez. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Ms. Tricia, to our new President, Dr. Naberi, and to our guest lecturer for today's activity, Dr. Abines, to all our faculty members in the university who find time to be with us today, from the College of Engineering and Food Science, from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, to our dear students, friends, ladies and gentlemen, most especially to our Nypa team who will be working after learning from this event. Good morning to all of us. This activity is in connection with our partnership with the Mariano Marcos State University. We, in the Central People's State University of Agriculture, will be adapting their technology on bioethanol production because in our Calabanga campus, we have a Nypa plantation, which is almost 3 hectares. So in our quest and in our continuous quest for research and innovation, we have looked into this partnership as something that would enable our university to deliver services to our immediate community, particularly to those that are involved in Nypa planting. Through this initiative, we would like to offer them an alternative livelihood and at the same time solve some relevant problems in our community. So in line with that, the Mariano Marcos State University sent to us their expert in the person of the Balik scientist, Dr. Fiorelio Abines. He will be giving us a lecture that will enable us to learn the promise of Nypa fruticans as well as all the other things that we can derive from this promising resource. So without further ado, allow me to welcome you all in this event, and may you all have a fruitful and a good learning experience for today. God bless us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monette. I know that you guys are really very excited to learn here. So we'll see that later. So at this moment, to give us a message, let us all welcome our University President, Dr. Alberto Naperi. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Ms. MC. Maray na aga po sa inyong gabos. Dahil na samutan ni Doc Abines. But anyway, let me give the history why Dr. Abines is here with us today. And I would like to mention what I have learned with Dr. Abines. The wisdom that any success of an organization, it's not about inventions, it's not about discoveries, but it's about connecting all. Before I met Dr. Abines, which happened to be my brother, I've been doing that kind of concept. That is why CBCUA is very ambitious. This has been one of the focal points of our university when I assumed the presidency. That CBCUA, in our vision, we wanted CBCUA to become and declared as the National Agricultural University of the Philippines. So, with the team that I have, we are connecting the dots. And one of the dots is the Mariano Marcos Memorial State University. So, the president of Mariano Marcos Memorial University is also my friend. Our attend with Doc Abines. So I told Ma'am Shirley, Ma'am, pwede bang dalhin mo sa Bicol yung technology nyo dito sa Bicol? Because environmentally, if you scan Bicol region comparing to Ilocos region, we have plenty of Nypa. Sabi ko dyan sa inyo, sa Ilocos, parang malayo yung Nypa plantations. Nandoon pa sa Cagayan. You have to travel at least 2 more hours just to get the Nypa sap. And yet, look at Mariano Marcos Memorial State University. They are the center of biofuel energy in the Philippines. So kung iisipin natin, sila walang Nypa, pero mayroong declared as the National Center for Biofuel. So ang tagal kong nakumbinsi si Ma'am Shirley. And naatasan kami, napili ako dito sa Bicol Region, siya kaming president. I don't know ba't ako yung napili na pinag-aral doon sa AIM. Yung first training ng lahat ng selected presidents. Originally we were 50 presidents on the first batch na pinag-aral on trainings on all the SUPs presidents. Naging classmate ko si Ma'am Shirley Lupis. Ang galing-galing. So siya ang lead, siya ang leader, lahat, Ma'am, ikaw na. O prospector, sabi ko, ikaw na. So, sa madaling sabi, mas lalong na-cultivate yung friendship namin. And before the end of the program, that program is 1-year program. Before the end of the program, nakumbinsi ko siya. Nasabi ko, dalhin mo yung technology dito sa Central Bicol State University and will be the one to host the technology here. So, sabi niya, sige, that was during pandemic. Sabi ni First Shirley, once na magkaroon ng travel access, then you have to go there at i-train natin yung tao mo. So right then and there, nang nagkaroon ng travel access, papunta sa Ilocos, sinama ko yung team ng CBCUA headed by Ma'am Monet Ramirez. May kinuha tayong member ng Sipukot, may kinuha tayong member ng Pasakaw, may kinuha tayong member ng Kalabanga, and then the lead team came from the main campus. Nag-train tayo doon. Ako nakapag-training din ng 1 day. Kasi hindi ko naman alam Hindi naman ako agriculture, hindi naman ako chemist. But during that training, I observed talaga. Sobrang ganda ng projects and the outcome of the training would really give a certain development to our community, most especially here in Bicol. Kasi nandito ngayon yung maraming Nypa. And through to that, we already had the memorandum of understanding and agreement. Ang naging pasasalamat ni Pres. Shirley, binigyan tayo ng isang distillery machine. So we are now starting the distillery on producing Nypa alcohol at the Calabanga campus. Yung 10 liters na machine, ang usapan, we need to produce, if not, that will be taken back by Mariano Marcos Memorial State University. So they are our partners. And true enough, ano ang ginawa ni President Shirley, I would like to highlight that Mariano Marcos Memorial State University is the source of this technology. Tingnan po yung ginagawa nila. They are offering whatever development that they have. And we would like also to exercise that kind of practice. Tayo naman, kung ano naman po yung mga mature na technology natin, we need also to offer it to other organizations or bring it to the community because that's the role of state universities and colleges throughout the country to develop the countryside through mature technology. Sa ngayon po, ang ginawa ni Ma'am Shirley, in-invite, binigyan tayo ngayon ng balik scientista through the person of Dr. Abines. So ngayon po, Doc, in advance, I would like to thank you. My sincere thanks on behalf of the Central Bicol State University of Agriculture Academic Community. Thank you so much for visiting us. I know you are so busy, but still, you find time to visit our university just for this activity in order for us to really go forward on the productions of biofuel. So magandang umaga po and welcome to this training and hopefully we can learn so much from Dr. Abines and let's put our hands together to go forward on the productions of biofuel here in Bicol region hosted by CBCUA in partnership of Mariano Marcos Memorial State University of Agriculture. God bless us all.
Thank you so much to our university president. It is true that in order for us to succeed, it is needed for us and learn from their best practices. So maraming salamat po. Ngayon pa lang nagpapasalamat na kami for your willingness to share or impart with us your knowledge, your expertise on that certain field. So we are with you, President, and your goal and our goal for this university, the Central Bicol State University of Agriculture, to become the National University of Agriculture. So kiniklaim na natin yan ngayon pa lang. So at this moment, I know that you really want to learn from this seminar. So allow me to introduce our guest lecturer, our guest speaker for this morning. So he has finished his bachelor's degree in agricultural education in the year 1969 at the Central Luzon State University, Muñoz, Nueva Ecija in the Philippines. He has also finished his master's degree in animal industries in the year 1971 at the University of Connecticut Stores, Connecticut. And on the same university, he also finished his PhD degree in the year 1975 in animal physiology. Since his retirement as a full professor at Cal Poly University, Pomona in 2004, Dr. Abinas has spent a great deal of time working with colleges and universities in the Philippines. He was a U.S. Fulbright Scholar in 2008 and 2014 and a Philippine Balik Scientist grantee in 2008, 2010, 2013, and 2022. From 2008 to 2015, he held various appointments as visiting scientist at the Philippine Carabao Center, visiting professor at Central Luzon State University, and adjunct professor and research scientist at Mariano Marcos State University. In 2009, he was appointed Engineering Research and Development for Technology Fellow at the University of the Philippines. From 2015 to 2018, he was employed as Faculty and Institutional Development Manager by the USAID-funded Science, Technology, Research, and Innovation for Development or STRIDE project. Dr. Abinas's work in the Philippines focused on biofuels from indigenous feedstocks such as sugarcane, sweet sorghum from Nypa and Nypa fruticans. His bioethanol team at MMSU developed the MMSU HDE20, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that correctly, a hydrous ethanol gasoline blend that underwent rigorous testing at several engineering laboratories in the Philippines. He serves as consultant and visiting scientist at the National Bioenergy Research and Innovation Center in Batac, Ilocos Norte. Dr. Abinas has more than 50 years of diversified work experience in consulting, agricultural extension, university teaching, and research in the United States, Canada, and the Philippines. He worked for the UNFAO Dairy Training and Research Institute at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. In Canada, he was reproductive physiologist at Cargill, regional swine specialist at the Ministry of Agriculture, forestry and rural economic development, and animal science professor at Olds College. He joined the faculty of Cal Poly, Pomona in 1987 and was awarded early tenure and promotion to full professor in 1991. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Dr. Fiorelio D. Abinas. A round of applause, please.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I thought I already died then. That was my obituary. My brother Kuyang, President Naberry, Madam Manette, all faculty here, my fellow students of science, thank you for joining this lecture. I started this lecture tour in November 4. And you know, if you're in the show business, they tell you, break a leg. I learned 2 lessons from that. One, don't take it literally. For the first time in my life, I had to use a crutch that I didn't even know how to use. I had to research how to use a crutch. And the second lesson is, when you're 75 years old now, don't attempt to wear your pants standing up. Upo ka na lang. So I've been nursing this sprained ankle Although that was my first lecture, I said to myself, even if this is the last time I will do, I will complete my lecture series for this November. So I have been so far, starting from Central Luzon State University, quite appropriate, that's where I start. Went to Pangasinan State. From Pangasinan State, I went to Aklan State University. I would have gone to the University of Antique, but the passage wasn't there. So I had to do it virtual, attended by UEP. The good thing about that was I had an extended stay at Boracay. But you know, being in paradise alone with a broken leg is almost a curse in hell. So from there, I came here, met my brother, and this is really something I've never expected. Indeed, it's a small world. And then last night we were having dinner, and one of the marketing consultants for the U.S. Soybean Meal Association of the United States happens to be one of my contemporaries at the University of Philippines in Los Baños. I said, "Wow, you know, this must really be something to have such a big world and meet all colleagues and at all sorts of places." Let me start my talk with this building. This is the National Bioenergy Research and Innovation Center at Mariano Marcos State University. This truly is a center that was built by bioethanol. When some people ask me, "Sir, you've been working on bioethanol now for what, almost 15 years. Have you commercialized it?" And I wanted to scream almost and say, "Yeah, we have. As a matter of fact, we sold our technology to the tune of 200 million pesos to build this building and another 75 million just for equipment." So had I commercialized our research, I'd say yes. But we're talking about a different way of commercialization. How do we get really the technology that we have developed here to the masses, the ones that would truly benefit? You know, way back in 2006, when I first started coming to the Philippines, I have to scratch my hair why the Philippines wanted to add ethanol to their gasoline. No, none of the arguments that I've heard make sense. Okay, it would help mitigate pollution in the world. Well, we want to contribute something, a 0.03 to the pollution in the world. Eventually, I figured out the reason why it was so was at that time, the sugar prices were so low. And then Senator Zubiri figured out, I don't know if it was senator or congressman, figured out that the only way that they could increase the price of sugar in the Philippines was to find a use for it. And of course, the most logical one is to produce it in our gasoline. So after so many years, this is where we stand. We are still short of bioethanol. We have, that would really make me feel like an invalid. I don't want to say that. All right. But thank you for the thought. We still import
Okay na.
there is a
ESD
disparity in the
search
price
mo.
of ethanol in the Philippines. Pag yung ethanol gawa dito sa Pilipinas, the gasoline companies would have to pay 64 pesos and 35 centavos per liter. If you import it, it only costs 34 pesos.
Yeah, any.
So the implementing rules and regulations also stated that for as long as there is ethanol in the Philippines, it has to be purchased first. So we have to spend 64.35 before we could import and pay for 34 pesos. Ako,
Nakamute ko siya.
ang gandang business yan. If
Pwede,
you can
baka
buy
ano,
it,
baka
you're
heroon ka.
an ethanol
Baka heroon.
processor, you can import at 34, sabihin mo na ginawa sa Pilipinas, we can sell it at 34 pesos. At 68 pesos. How in the first place did we ever need bioethanol? I see so many young faces in here, but those who are a little bit older, some of you may still remember that the first additive for gasoline was lead. Naalala mo niyo, merong lead yung gasoline. Tapos they suddenly realized that lead is very poisonous. So what did they do? Nagkaroon tayo ng unleaded. So you remember unleaded. They took out the lead and they put an additive called MTBE. At my age, I can't remember what MTBE anymore. But for a while, it worked. You know, it really improved the performance of gasoline. As engines became more powerful, the boilers need for high octane gasoline, and that's what those additives were doing. But in one in the US, they can grow so much corn in the US that only 2% of the corn is actually consumed by human beings.
Daing talaga.
Do you believe that? 2%. The rest of it is used for animal feed. And more of it now is being used for ethanol.
Hey,
So,
chest.
oops,
Dito.
you know, I've been using this now for this other one. There are also 3 bottles. I
Lipat
couldn't
natin.
remember which one. All right. Bioethanol, we cannot look at those traditional sources. Okay, corn, shortage. We're short of corn. We don't hardly produce enough to feed our animals, even for us. It has to be a special kind of corn if you feed it to animals. It has to be yellow corn. And then sugarcane. Whereas our problem before was we had too The natural resource we have is Nypa. Why is that? Because the Philippines, come on. When I was growing up, the Philippines had 7,100 islands, and I was so proud of that. Now that I'm 75 years old, we see that we actually have 7,461 islands. Dumadami pa yung ating islands this Philippines. And so, for a small country like the Philippines, just imagine, ang liit naman talaga ng Philippines. But do you know that it has the 5th longest coastlines in the whole world? Bakit? Because it consists of different islands, 7,461 at last count. And I believe that is on the highlight. So the amount of sugar that it contains is competitive to the sugar that is found in sugar cane. And that sugar, 85% of it is fermentable. Hindi siya complex sugars. They can easily be fermented by yeasts. And once they establish themselves, they live forever. Not 50 years, they live forever. Because one of the defense mechanisms of this particular plant is as they die, they send out a shoot so that it would regenerate into a new Nypa plant. Truly, this is a gift of God to us. And to me, it's almost crime that we have relegated this to something almost like an annoyance. You know, kung ikaw ay nagkukolekta lang ng mga Nypa products, leaves, bidrit, or walis, sasa, or Nypa sap, you are relegated to us, so you are second or third class in the Philippines. But it's such an important resource for us to exploit. On a per hectare of land, of all those species that we've looked at in terms of the production per hectare of land, Nypa produces the highest amount of sugar and therefore bioethanol per hectare. That beats the heck out of wheat, corn, sugar beet, sugar cane, even at one time this very popular product, sweet sorghum, which was planted all over the Philippines for a while, but is now has been abandoned because it was proven to be really not that economically viable. In terms of the ease of producing bioethanol from Nypa, you know, right now there's a great deal of interest in gamitin natin yung biomass, yung mga leaves dyan na kalat-kalat. We can produce it. We call it cellulosic ethanol. But look how difficult it is. From cellulose, you have to pre-treat it, convert it into sugar before you can ferment, distill, and produce ethanol. Even corn, which is the main product of the U.S. in terms of bioethanol, you still have to convert that starch into sugar, again ferment, distill, before it produces ethanol. Sugarcane medyo simple ng konti because it's already sugar. It isn't starch. You don't need to convert it. So you can ferment it, distill it, dry it, and it becomes ethanol. But look what happens if you have Nypa. Nypa, as soon as you collect it, it can go directly into a distiller. So those people say, sir, ano bang economics ng Nypa? I mean, I'm not an economist, but I could just simply show them a chart like this to convince them that it's a lot easier and simpler to get ethanol from Nypa than any of these other sources that we have. I started working with biofuels in the Philippines way back in 2008. And it started because I grew tired of retirement. Truly. It's a curse, it's not a blessing. So I had to find a way to get back to the Philippines, and I found the Fulbright program. But for those of you who know anything about the Fulbright program, it is for Americans, United States citizens, to go and visit countries that they've never been to before, to learn their culture, bring it back to the U.S., and educate the rest of the community about the countries that they have visited. Well, ako naman po ay Filipino. So what did I have to do to convince them to send me to the Philippines? I thought, sabi ko, aralin ko ang Philippine Carabao. I will study Philippine Carabao. I even gave them the scientific name of the Philippine Carabao, which was made up. And it's not actually official. I was given by Dr. Castillo, then my boss at one time. So I think they were confused. Had I called it, I want to study swamp buffalo. Had I told them I wanted to study the water buffalo, they might have sent me to Vietnam or Philippines because they're all the same. Our Philippine Carabao is the same as that. But I managed to convince them I will study the Philippine Carabao, and they sent me. My thought at the time, and this is a transition why an animal physiologist like me would get interested in the biofuels. You know, when you observe animals grazing in the field, halimbawa meron isang kalabaw, and you also have a cow. Basta pa yung mga Brahman na merong ano sa likod. If you look at them, which one look healthier? Yung kalabaw parang tumataba, even though it's the same pasture. And the cows, you know, the cattle, survives too, but not as well. So my theory is, truly, in the digestive system of a carabao, there are very powerful enzymes that could turn cellulosic material, even maybe lignocellulosic material, into sugar. Yun ang theory ko. So, we started collecting rumen complex. This is, those of you who are in animal science or in agriculture know that ruminants have 4 compartments in their stomach. They have the rumen, the domosum, the obomosum. Anyway, they have 4 compartments. And in the biggest one of them, the rumen, is where this microorganisms reside. And so we studied this. We were going to the abattoirs, believe it or not, at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, just to collect rumen fluid so we could conduct our experiments. We soon got tired of that, and I was able to convince my colleagues at the Philippine Carabao Center to give us a carabao and fistulated it. A fistula is like a window to the stomach of an animal, as opposed to a cannula, which is a thing. Ito malaki, you can actually put it this. So carabao, you can just simply open it, and that's how we could. And we could get it any time of the day. You don't have to go to the abattoir. Well, I was so pleased that we were able to demonstrate that indeed the enzymes that is found in the rumen of the carabao can easily turn lignocellulosic material into sugars. And when we add yeast, that sugar can turn into alcohol. But those microorganisms are so powerful that we could not stop it in a practical way to stop na sana may ethanol na. No, they continue on. And eventually, everything is turned into acetic, propionic, butyric acid. So, gusto ko sana namin maralan because there are a lot of other things we could learn. But, during the typhoon, although it's like, when it rains, it pours sabi nga, parang binagsakan kami ng langit lupa. We lost our fistulated carabao. And so I said, let's look at something probably simpler. So, to change courses, I went to Mariano Marcos State University and I was looking for a biochemist. Unfortunately, they did not have a biochemist. So, University of London biochemist. So I found my two kindred-hearted scientists. One of them, Dr. Shirley Agrupis, who your president has fondly talked about. She's now the president of MMSU, and she's my biologist. And then Dr. Roque Ulet, who is now the executive director of the National Bioenergy Research and Innovation Center, and I'm as a animal scientist. We formed a group, and we call ourselves the guerrilla scientists of MMSU. Why guerrilla? Why guerrilla? Because we live like guerrillas. We had absolutely nothing. We had no labs, we had no funding, just visions, just ambitions. You know, if you came to our lab during those early days, you could have either laughed at us, and then many people did, or cried with us. Wala kami talagang. I remember the Dr. Secretary of the OST, Estrella Navastro, happened to come to our lab. We were surprised. Wow, the DOST secretary is visiting our lab. Sabi niya, where are the DOST accredited bioreactors? You know, what's she talking about? We have no DOST bioreactors. Yung pala, naligaw lang siya. She went to the wrong lab. She was looking for the lab. It's all a bioethanol lab. Ours is a guerrilla bioethanol lab. She was looking for a bioethanol lab that she has funded for 30 million for the past 5 years. Siyempre, nandun lahat yung equipment. We were all just sharing lab. So I told her, Mom, these are our bioreactors. We were just using 5-gallon water bottles. Pero may imported naman po kami. Those compounds that you see there, they are imported from the US because none of the Filipino compounds would fit the opening. I don't know if she was laughing or I think she became even madder than that. But this is how we started. This is how we started. Having practically nothing. But you know, truly, if you do not have anything, you would try your best to come up with something. Sabi nga nila, but it's a matter of invention. So, we used to borrow, beg, whatever we can from other labs. And there was this graduated cylinder, it's about that big, 1,000 ml. And nabasag pa namin. Nako, wala na, magpahiram sa amin. So what we did, we would take bottles like what you have, your drinks. We would mark where 100 ml is. We'd make sure that that is 100 ml for our experiments. Yung mga tops yan, we cut off, we use them as funnels. That's how poor we are. But I can tell you, we became darlings of the press. Prize-winning writers of the Philippines found us. They interviewed us. Nypa Abel became well-known because she won the Bright Leap Award by writing about our research. We get invited by agencies that wouldn't look at us for the second time. We made presentations at their conferences. As a matter of fact, we entered all the competitions at Picard, Fisher, GA Bar would not. We had no funding from them. We were competing against research that have been funded for multi-million pesos. And you know what? We won all the major awards in the Philippines. Can I have a glass of water? Yeah. So this was our first prize at the A-Bar. Best research paper, won by President Lucas. We won, we won awards, even those, I wouldn't say contests run by international organizations. The worst that we ever got was when I was on presenting. We ended up second place when all my team were almost sure that we would win first place because kasi ulo ko nun eh. You know, when we qualified, Dr. Agrutis, who would have been our presenter, and it would have been a win for sure. She was at Kansas State as a postdoc, and I had to come home to make the presentation, and matigas ang ulo ko. Dr. Agrutis told me, sir, all you have to do is tell them what they want to hear. And I said, no, Basam, I will tell them what I want to hear. I want them to hear. I will tell them what I want them to hear. And so I violated all the rules, ran over time, rambled a lot, bragged a lot, gave them a lecture about how bad they were that they wouldn't give us money, but here we are, finalists. And we might even win first prize, so they gave us second prize. Anyway, but what changed the whole focus and the whole thing for us was my realization that as smart as all of you are here in the Philippines, well-trained, PhDs, didn't know a foot about distillation. You know, as you said, my degree in the Philippines was in agricultural education. Do you know that I had such a poor science background that when I went to the University of Connecticut as a fellow, I had to repeat so many courses. And they looked at my chemistry. One semester, no, you take 1 year of elementary chemistry. Yeah, I took 1 year. They look at my organic chemistry, 1 semester. You take 1 year of organic chemistry. Analytical chemistry, you have nothing. You take 1 semester. You have no biochemistry, you take it. I probably graduated with my master's degree with the most units as a master candidate, but I learned a lot. And one of the things that I do was I know how reflux distillation works, but nobody in the Philippines seems to know about at the time. They were making theoretical calculations that would have to house something like this in a big building. Meron diyang kung ano-ano. Sabi ko, well, okay. So I wrote my TOR. Next time that I was coming, I wrote my TOR and I bragged. I said, my team will produce the first fuel-grade ethanol in the Philippines, and we will demonstrate it by running a vehicle, a car, whatever, from Batak to Baguio, and from Batak to Quezon City. Because I was so confident that my distiller would work. So I took home the simple distiller. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I took home so many of this that I became the subject of an investigation in the United States. Because I was like, why is this guy buying so many of this kind of distillers? Is he making illegal liquor? Fortunately, we moved from California, went to Las Vegas, they lost track of me. So anyway, to fulfill it. You know, that small distiller, we distill spirits 8 hours a day, producing only sometimes as little as 1 or 2 liters, but we saved enough of it. That indeed, we were able to use that fuel to go from Batak to Baguio. We were a lot younger then. Well, not so young, but my colleagues were so young, they didn't care. We didn't even think, what if it stopped in the middle of the road? What if, what if? But we didn't care. We drove it. We went to Baguio using this oldest car in the stable of cars of MMSU. Sumikat kami na. Because we did not only formulated an E10, we formulated with E20, 20% ethanol at ginagamit namin. So, nag-ibang na kami ng nag-ibang. May taga sa hotel mo. We surprised the heck out of those researchers who have been working on bioethanol for 5 years. They were having a conference at MMSU where they were talking still of varieties of sorghum, and I asked for 30 minutes to present our work. And I demonstrated it by pouring the ethanol in a dish, actually parang platito nga, and I ignited it, and everybody saw the blue flame come out. And they said, wow, meron na pala tayong fuel grid. But it came from our lab, not. So we celebrated. So saya namin. But we found out later na yung palang 95% na pinoproduce namin. Because that is azeotropic ethanol is the highest percentage of ethanol you could ever produce by distillation. It's an azeotrope. Hindi na magsaseparate yung water sa 95% na ethanol. You cannot remove the 5% water unless you go through a more expensive ways of doing it, like ternary distillation or putting it in molecular sieves. And we did not have capability. So what is the problem? There is a phenomenon called phase separation. If there is water in the gasoline with ethanol, the theory being that ethanol has more affinity to water than it has to gasoline. So pag namili yung ethanol to be with the water, it separates out. As you can see in here, so if you have ethanol with a lot of water, you cause a phase separation. However, if you use 95% ethanol, there is no phase separation. So we thought, how will we explain this? How is it that 95% ethanol will not cause separation, but lower than 95, say 90% will? My theoretical chemist told me this, and I was just totally amazed at how brilliant Dr. Roca is. He was able to come up with this structure. He said, all of the oxygen are tied up. All of the hydrogen that is in the water is tied up with the oxygen in the ethanol, and therefore you cannot easily separate that because these hydrogen bonds, they are not chemical bonds, their hydrogen bonds are so strong that distillation will do it. But the one that really opened our eyes was really trying to understand. So why? Why is it in the US, in Canada, in Europe, would they require 100% ethanol? Because the tolerance of gasoline for water is temperature dependent. It's like, we found it, we found an explanation. So dito pala sa Pilipinas, hindi naman tayo nagma-minus 20, nagma-minus 30. So the tolerance for water is greater. And as a matter of fact, at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, kaya niyang kumuha ng up to 5% water. Eh kung itataas mo pa yan, what is the temperature today? Even if it's air conditions there outside, I believe it's closer to about 87, 80. So malaki ang pwedeng mapunta dun sa gasolina. How many of you have observed yung different prices ng mga gasoline dito? Yung independent, kung minsan there are 10 pesos cheaper, di ba? Kaysa yung mga Shell or Petron. And so we did a simple study. We bought some gasoline. Ayaw nilang magbenta ng tinitingin. You have to put it in the tank. But we managed to get ours. Nakita namin may phase separation. Pero bakit wala problema? Because of tricycle drivers, we just that. They usually are the ones who buy it. Fill their tanks almost every day and matagtag pa. So imagine if you are agitating it, hindi magsaseparate siya. Hey, they can get away with it. We told DOE, look, you started saying that it has to be absolute ethanol. Ngayon, bagong IRR nila, 96.9% ethanol. Hindi na 100%. Sabi naman, nadismaya pa rin kami. Bakit kaya 96.9? And nobody can explain. Why in the heck would it be 96.9? What is the basis for it? Nagbibira kami, siguro nung tinas nila, yung binili ng 100%, naging 96.9 na. Why? Because it's so humid in the Philippines, and ethanol would normally take out the humidity. Sabi ko, baka naghintay sila bago kinabukasan, 95% na, lusot na sana tayo. No, but they stuck to it. And we are still fighting them to this day. I believe that 95% ethanol is the most stable form of ethanol because that is where all of those hydrogen are become engaged together. Yung 96.9, after a week, 95% na yun. All right, so we published our results. Maraming galit sa atin. Premature. We didn't care. We had no funding. We didn't have to ask anybody for permission to do it. And we used it in just about every engine we could find. Irrigation pump, lagyan natin. Old cars, motorcycle, lagyan natin. We ride them. We used this for a while. And then, hindi pa rin medyo satisfied yung mga ibang colleagues namin. So, I remember, do you have something here like a praise award every year? Those organizations have done significant things. They are given awards. We call it praise awards. For the first time that I was in an MSU, after all the awards we took, that year we didn't get a praise award. Wala naman praise award, wala naman award. But to be ignored, and then I found out, somebody told me, sir, you have been working on biofuels wala po naman kayo nakukuhang grants. And true, our total expenditure at that time was 85,000 pesos. Hindi naman kasama yung mga abono ko. I was a pro bono consultant of Enberic. Actually, I am a puro abono consultant. But imagine, 85,000 pesos, that's all we spent for research. So, parang nasaktan ako, I left. I went to my old alma mater. I went to CLSU and convinced a brilliant agricultural engineer, Dr. Victorino Bailan, and I didn't bring my model. I didn't have a picture. I just described to him what I wanted. And after so many iterations, he built me this. Without any funding, out of the goodness of the hearts of the scientists and engineers of CLSU. They built me this distiller. It's a reflux distiller. It has all of the oops. Overtime na ba ako? Para yata ito yung one yung sa low. If it's over 15 minutes, they just cut it. Forgive me. So we were able to do this, and then I brought my entire team from MMSU to teach them how to do fermentation. And that year, I kid you not, I think we had the most elaborate exit conference ever given to a public scientist, and that was me. 2 university presidents, the undersecretary of DOST, we invited, in fact, the secretary, but he couldn't make it. And we celebrated, the entire community celebrated with us. Anyone who would trust us had their tanks filled or topped off with our fuel grade ethanol. And after this time, alam na inspired na rin kami. Let's look for funds. But maybe it's not from the traditional kind. So we approached agencies that don't normally fund from the outside. And our first victim, the first one we ensnared was Pilrice. Who would have thought Pilrice would give us some money? But apparently they were thinking about fossil-free fuel farming. And they have been working with UPLB for some time, but it was not productive. I brought a bottle of 95% ethanol from Nypa to his office one Christmas Eve, and that sabi ko, Dr. Rasco, I know you're an expert in Nypa, smell this, and it will tell you that this comes from Nypa. This is a 95% bioethanol. So he gave us 1 million, and that 1 million to the last penny, we built a distiller, and we put it in Pamplona again. And then next, USAID Stride. I was not employed by them then, but I thank them because I think they learned from me through my projects here. They had a national call for proposals, 5 million pesos. There were 72 submissions. Only 3 were funded, and one of them was ours. They gave us 5 million. And we spent all that as well to deploy our distillers. And then finally we approached DOE. DOE doesn't give grants either, but we said, give us some money to buy a half-decent car. Yun na lang pinakamura, Kia. But at least it has fuel injection, medyo modern na compared naman yung the drug namin na carburetor. And we drove this car for over 30,000 kilometers, and at the end of that, we brought it back to Kia Motors, and they examined it, and they found no deleterious effect of our HB20. And then even the sugar regulatory gave us some money, but it was such a big challenge because they wanted us to follow the regulations, IIR. Produce absolute alcohol. We will fund you. We will give you money so you collect, produce 6,000 liters of bioethanol, and we will bring it to one of the refiners, and we will make it 100, and we will demonstrate the possibility. Unfortunately, with all the typhoons that happened, and then the pandemic, we were not able to fulfill that. We were only able to produce 3,000, and the best use for the 3,000 was not fuel. We solved the problem of sanitizers and disinfectant shortages in Region 1. We used all 3,000 of that to produce that. And even during the pandemic, we still managed to get grants. Stride gave us another 4 million, which enabled us also to have a facility in America. One thing that I want to brag about too is think about a research project that NEDA was willing to fund a feasibility study. Nakarinig na ba kayo ng Hindi pa nga kami funded, but we were the subject of a feasibility study. Wala kami, lakasan lang, it shoots pa. So we were the subject of a, but as they say, be careful of what you pray for. When I proposed this and I wrote the proposal, I was thinking that since we were the authority in it, that they will award the feasibility study to us. Hindi pala. They will give it to somebody who's independent to do the feasibility study. Unfortunately, they gave the feasibility study to some of our peers as competitors, mga non-believers namin. I will not name the university, but I will just tell you their initials, they go by UPLB. They almost killed our proposals. But being guerrilla scientists, do you think we get this knowledge? No, we become combative. Na hanggang ngayon nag-aaway pa. These were the key recommendations. Sabi nila, they practically killed all of the advantages of Nypa. Sabi nila, one, you have to build a wastewater handling facility. Because when you distill, about 90% of that is spillage. Hindi daw namin yun pwedeng basta i-dispose lang sa land, sa water. We have to build this wastewater facility. And it costs more than the cost of the distiller. Ano nang mangyari dun sa economics namin? Ang sabi lang namin, ito will cost about $500,000 pesos. Naging 1.5 million na. And then another recommendation. Sabi na, your processes need a lot of optimization. There is a critical concentration of sugar that would make the process more efficient. So you have to concentrate down. We have to concentrate the sap before we ferment it. Sabi ko, alam kaya nito mga ito yung ginagawa nila? And the way that you collect the sap is from the very first drop of that sap going to the container, there is already ester and alcohol is being produced. And what they are saying is that out of that sap, nakalahati nun, maybe 90% of it is already turned into alcohol. We have to concentrate it. Pabubulayin namin para ma-concentrate. Dinawala na lahat yung alcohol. And the only sugar that remains in there is so small. So, sumobra yung galing nila. And finally, ito yung talagang, sabi natin, di ba, one of the things going for Nypa is we will not be using arable land. Tama na yung we produce rice, okay, we produce even sugarcane. But they say for every 1 hectare of Nypa daw, we will need to plant 5.1 hectares of e-Balangibog just for the firewood. Kasi wala na yung arguments namin. Talaga naman. Okay. So, what are the solutions? Build a wastewater plant. No. Why? Yung pinanggalingan niya, hindi pasap. Iniinom na ng tao yan, di ba? Ang ginawa lang namin, pinakuluan namin, inulis namin alcohol. Yung natira, and I sterilized na yan. Pero there are solids in there. So what I did, I went to director of the Philippine Carnival Center, got a little bit of statements. Si Ma'am Recta, sabi ko, Ma'am, I want to do a project with you. Why don't we try feeding this, making your Mura buffaloes drink this spillage that we have? Sabi niya, okay, sir, we've been thinking about that too, because we heard you have a lot of it. Yes, ma'am, sabi ko. So in front of her, I put my finger on the container. Natake na back siya. Tapos, ma'am, tikman niyo po. Napahiyaya, tikman din niya. Sabi niya, sir, hindi naman pala masama. Malat-talat, matamis-tamis. Sabi niya, ma'am, yan ang version namin ng sweet and sour. So, this is what it is. Imagine the great minds will not think. They are not able to connect with us. When the simplest solution is as far back as 1790, explorers were talking about Nypa sap being used to fatten animals. Okay, maaaring na namin sugar that, but that means that it is safe for them to be fed whatever is left over. Ongoing there. But we were able to get rid of approximately 5,000 liters na nakaimbak lang doon na hindi namin na-dispose. Problem solved. Now, what about the e-liquid? With new technology now overtaken our desire, we are now able to run our distillers on solar. Pero kailangan lang meron tayong adjustments because if we use the solar technology conventionally, dito sa Pilipinas, may lahat tayo. It will be very expensive because the system would require, okay, you have solar panels, and then you would have batteries to store. And cost of batteries is expensive. It is probably would add about 35 to even 50% of the cost. And then there's a maintenance. Every 2 years, magpapalit ka ng baterya. So the solution to this is really for the Philippines to allow net metering. Alam niyo yung net metering? Para yung bangko. Pag may pera ka, pag meron kang energy, bigay mo sa bangko. Pag kailangan mo na, you can take it away. So, we are proposing to have a solar-driven distiller that is net metered, no batteries, on grid. And even when you're not distilling, you're making money because you are contributing to the grid. A money maker din yan sa mga utility companies. You know why? Because when they sell it to you, I found out you buy your electricity 70 pesos per kilowatt hour. Pag ibebenta mo sa kanila, 5 pesos lang babayaran sila. So kumikita na sila, pero at least meron ka pa rin 5 pesos. And so you keep on giving that to them, and then when you distill, maybe 30% of your energy would come from the grid. It's okay. Sa araw ka naman nag-distill, meron kang nakukuha sa sun. So that is the ultimate solution to that 5.1 hectare of e-pilipil. Baka hindi mag-asa yung buong Pilipinas sa e-pilipil plantation because we will exploit the Nypa here. So truly, Nypa is a gift of God to us, and it behooves us to make use of it. Alam niyo ba na the Philippines is said to have the third largest hectareage of Nypa in the world? Number one is Indonesia. They have 700,000 hectares of Nypa plantations. Second is Papua New Guinea, 500,000. How many hectares do you think we have in the Philippines? In the research ground. Nagulat ako. The Philippines is third, but it only has 8,000 hectares. Third place tayo, pero 8,000. That's only 1.14% of Indonesia, 1.6% of Papua New Guinea. Maria, sir, yan po yung nandiyan sa harapan. Oh, we were debating so much. So I commissioned another study, mapping study. So the new estimate now is we have 38,000. But in fact, in the early 1900s, we had as much as 120,000 hectares of Nypa. What happened? We became enamored with aquaculture. You know, marami diyang ginawa natin fish farms. And then later on abandoned when there was a virus infected, we didn't know what to do, we just abandoned it and never replanted. Although now we are starting to replant. The Nypa plant is a very efficient converter of energy to sugar. And in the process of photosynthesis, I'm sorry, let me go back. Just to review what I told you, the sap contains a lot of sugar, some efficient converter of solar energy to sugar, and the stacking technique that we have, it's been practiced for many, many years, for centuries in fact. And it works. It's not rocket science how to do this. This is one plant where the more you abuse it, the more it will give, it seems. Because to train it, you have to really kick it, bend it, do a lot of things to make sure the sap flows. Whoops. I'm sorry. Okay, so here is the chemical composition of Nypa's post-sugarcane. You can see that when it comes to fermentable carbohydrates, that is glucose and fructose, they are virtually the same. No sucrose, glucose plus fructose, they are virtually the same. But the main thing going for Nypa is, unlike sugarcane, you do not need to cultivate the fields. You don't need to fertilize it, you need to irrigate it, you don't need to weed it, you do not need to harvest it. By cutting, you did not need to prepare the land again for the next crop. Nandun na siya agad. And it is, as I said, an efficient converter of solar energy into glucose. And through a process of fermentation, the glucose that is produced can be turned into ethanol. Energetically, one might say, mababa yung yield. But remember, the energy comes from the sun. So it's virtually free. If you want to justify why Nypa as opposed to sugarcane or sweet sorghum or that, mention this. It does have a low startup cost. Virtually nothing could walk into a Nypa plantation and start training the Nypa plant to produce that. Low maintenance cost. Fertilization is automatic. The seed comes in, the water flows out. Automatic fertilization and cleanup. But we can also push a lot of other methods, such as the mitigation of climate change. Many of you may not remember anymore, but during Typhoon Yolanda, even coconut trees fell down. But because of the Nypa, the trunk of Nypa is underground. All the Nypa did was to dance with the wind. Gumagano lang siya. You cannot uproot the Nypa even with a typhoon as powerful as Yolanda. And as I said, no need for our land. You know, all over the world, there's a great controversy right now. Sabi nila, it should be a criminal. It should be a criminal offense when so many people are starving to use arable land to produce fuel. So, what would you rather have? Huh? I am hungry. Don't worry. We have fuel now. So the priorities, especially for poor countries such as ours, third world countries such as us, it behooves us to spare the arable land to be used for rice, to be used for cassava, to be used for other uses, but not for fuel. So what now? Where are we going at that? We haven't stopped with our technology. I think the technology as it is right now is ready to commercialize. 95% of all, you can use it. So I'm doing this lecture tour because even though some people in my team even said, "Sir, why go on? Why now? Why now?" They want me there. They want me there, staying there, doing nothing. I'd rather travel. Because you know naman, you just stay out of pandemic. This is probably one of the few lectures you've had so far face to face. And I know bioethanol is probably the farthest thing in your mind. So I am here to rekindle your interest. I want you not to forget us. Okay, you do whatever you need to do for now as you make adjustment. But make small steps and don't forget about Nypa. So what should be the business plan? I say we should work with cooperatives. We should work with cooperatives. They are the key to commercializing this. We form cooperatives, we train them how to collect. Because Nypa, the value chain of Nypa is very, very, very good. At any stage of processing, it has a market. So you collect the sap. Okay, even without collecting sap, you know naman that you can make use of the leaves, right? Make a Nypa hat. You can make use of the midriff, walis ting. When you go to the sap, you collect it, you drink it. It is the ultimate probiotic. Not only does it contain lactobacillus, like what you have in Yakult, or I don't know what you pay, 50 pesos for something as small as this. The Nypa sap contains more than just lactobacillus. It has at least 8 beneficial microorganisms in there, the effects of which is unknown, but I know it doesn't poison you. It makes you happy. Yung pong mga nakatim na dyan ng Nypa sap would attest to that. Let's say, may natira pa. You can sell it, right? You can sell it. May natira pa. You feed it to your animals. May natira pa. Magiging suka. All right? May natira pa. Pwede mong lutuin. You can make syrup. May natira pa. You can make it into sugar. Sap pa lang yun. And then, you can make gin bulag. No. You can make lambanog. The safe way. The safe way. Using our technology, it can easily be done. And then, with lambanog, you can further purify it. You can make fuel-grade ethanol. Once you've made that 95% ethanol, there are over 170 consumer products that you could make use of ethanol as one of the ingredients. I want to talk about that. Here is one idea that I want all our partners to do. 8 partners of NBERIC. Build your own gas stations. It doesn't cost a lot. You can build one for less than 500,000. And start selling. Start using it. Where if a customer comes, make it as a research project so you don't get in trouble with DOA or some of the others. Make the research project here. Fuel or your grass cutters, your irrigation pumps, your vehicles, your faculty members who want to help you. Just sign them up and sell it to them at cost. At least 10 pesos less than what they would pay in the outside. Makakapamili pa sila. You want to save money? HB 10. You want some more? HB 15. Want some more? 20, 30. You can go up to 30% hydrous ethanol without having to adjust anything on your car. We have data. We have ample data to show that. Ang ginawa lang ng pampo natin is, ito is the complicated one that the industry has. We just took this away. And now we have this distiller that an ordinary person, ang gagawin lang niya manggatong and can produce fuel-grade ethanol. You don't need a degree. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. The design is already there. It is simple. And what about the performance? An engine performance brought about by gasoline can be measured by its research octane number, RON. The higher the RON number, the more premium yung gasoline mo. So with HB 20, you can run Lamborghinis. Did I turn that off? Sorry. You can run Lamborghinis here, Mercedes-Benzes, Alfa Romeos, because the RON is high. RVP, this is the research vapor pressure. It is lower, which means that it is safer to handle. Ibig sabihin yung spontaneous combustion that could happen is very low using HB 20. What about the environment? After all, this is what it's all about. Oh, what about fuel economy? Excuse me. Practically no difference. Sorry, did I keep doing that? Practically no difference. In a Kia Rio, we found it was slightly lower, but when it comes to motorcycles, it was higher. If you can explain anything, you just tell them, doesn't matter. That's statistically significant. But here is where I think our HB 20 really shines. How about the environment? Reduces carbon monoxide by 27%, reduces carbon dioxide by 31%, dinitrous oxide by as much as 93%, and nitrous oxide by 46.7%. It is a better fuel than the E10. As I said, when we examined that Rio, that Kia Motors found that there is no trace of whatever deleterious effect our vehicle has. There was a slight problem in the motorcycles because, mumurahin namang sasakyan, we did notice that there is some rust forming in the gas tank. But the good news is, because of our research, we found a solution to this. And we found out through meticulous research that it does not due to the water that is in the azeotrope. It's not the 5% water that's causing it. It is the normal acidity. And because it's acidity, kayong mga gumagawa ng chemistry, how do you make it neutral? Use a base. So something as cheap as sodium hydroxide could solve this problem. And we have solved it now. We now claim that our product is corrosive free. When we tested it, even in low temperatures, we started having problems only when it is 4 degrees centigrade. Do you know what 4 degrees centigrade is? That is the temperature of your refrigerator. And it only happens when it is 80% ethanol and 20% gasoline. All the rest of it, 12 degrees centigrade, normal temperature in Baguio during winter time, 8 degrees, 4 degrees, walang problema. So our conclusion for our hydrous ethanol, it has a very great potential in the Philippines. It can save us as much as 6 billion pesos every year just by adopting 95% instead of 96.9%. Another thing we're working on is this lambanog poisoning. How many of you remember about 3 years ago, a lot of people died because of lambanog poisoning in Quezon and in Laguna. And we believe that the cause of this is because the traditional way in which they are distilling. There is no way a distiller like this could separate the methanol from ethanol. When you are consuming sap, mababa naman yung methanol na nandun. Toxic level is about 200 parts per million. So, pag sap pa lang siya, it's low enough. But when you concentrate it, mako-concentrate. And while you're concentrating ethanol, you're also concentrating methanol. But they have different boiling points. So if you could collect the first drips of your distillation and throw it away, safe na sana yun. But unfortunately, it is not possible for some of the ways in which we're making lambanog right now. So we're proposing that we will just simply adapt our distillation system. And the only solution and the simple solution is itong tower na ito, that tower, the tower that you have in there, is filled with a packing material that would cause the reflux. If you remove that, it will just produce lambanog. We are also experimenting on ethanol stoves. We are concerned about clean cooking, especially because this affects disproportionately women and children. They're the ones who do the cooking. And in many areas of the world and in the Philippines, they are still using charcoal, firewood, and of course, that is not safe. So we need clean cooking. We have come up with some prototypes. This one is very popular now, a pop stove. Madaling gawin yan, very small naman. This is the one that we're trying to reverse engineer. And our hope is that it can be used commercially. But right now, I must say that we are facing some challenges. As to fuel, we're also working on hydrogen fuel generation system. In the past, people would say, it doesn't make sense to separate hydrogen from oxygen, from water, because the energy that you would use to separate them is so much larger than the actual energy that you would produce. Correct, energetically. But what if the source of that energy is inexhaustible? Like solar, it changes the equation completely. So this is one of the things that we're working on right now. We're working on probiotics. The approach here is we will turn the sap into the ultimate probiotic drink in the Philippines. We just have to figure out paano kaya natin ma-arrest yung pag-produce ng ethanol at a certain stage, because at a certain concentration, namamatay din naman yung yeast. And prebiotics is supposed to be composed of living microorganisms. We have an idea, but what if we make ice cream out of it? After all, CL has been doing it for tilapia. May tilapia ice cream, masarap daw. Palagi ko mas masarap yung Nypa sap ice cream. It's not all fun and games, but we know that the Philippines imports about 99% of its yeast requirement from China. So sabi ko, kung merong naman palang yeast dun sa Nypa sap, can we try and see if we can make flour rice? Hindi pa yung sugar, flour. And so we experiment on this, and lo and behold, we were able to produce artisan bread. This is the first iteration of our pan de Nypa. We're also trying to produce what's called labadura. I don't know if it's available here. You make yeast balls. We're able to make yeast balls, but we cannot revive the yeast. So we're still working on that. Lastly, I know I've run over time, not unusual. I invite you to become like us when we were younger. You, sabi nga ng Nike, just do it, right? Be an explorer. Do not be intimidated by the word research. Just do it. Meron kayong idea, do it. Nobody's gonna kill you because of a bad idea. And as a guerrilla scientist, I reiterate this again. How many times have I seen research papers that ends up with further research is required? Parang never ending yan. But there are also a lot of research that already near to the tipping point, yung tinatawag nilang inflection point. Connect the dots. Learn to connect the dots, because it takes just as much genius to be able to see those relationships, be able to connect the dots, as it is to invent and as it is to discover. So lastly, be crazy. Be crazy. Because it is really the people who are crazy enough to think that they can do it, they can change the world, that they will. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abines. I didn't know, honestly, I didn't know that Nypa could have this much potential here in the Philippines. So thank you so much for imparting your knowledge and expertise. Perhaps we can entertain some of the questions of our students here in the university. If you have questions, you can just raise your hand, and I think Dr. Abines would be very willing to answer your questions. I don't think you have to go through the same trouble ng pinagdaanan ni Sir with in terms of budget, in terms of funding, because here in the university, I guess, the VPRI, the research division, the extension division, services division are very much willing to provide funding, to provide assistance if you need them in your researches. I hope I'm not mistaken with that, because yan ang pinaka-problema so far. So, if you don't have, do you have questions? Do you have clarifications? None? Perhaps you can just approach Dr. Abines later if you have. Do you have questions, madam? Please do not hesitate. This is your only chance to ask an expert. Would you like to ask him a question? Wala? Nahihiya ka ba? Okay. Perhaps later, sir will be available for your queries, so you can just approach him. So at this moment, to award the certificate of appreciation, may I invite in front our VPRI, VP Monet, and of course, our guest lecturer. So allow me to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Central Bicol State University of Agriculture, Certificate of Appreciation is hereby given to Dr. Fiorelio B. Abines for sharing his valuable knowledge and contribution during the workshop seminar on Balik Scientist, the case for Nypa, fruticans as feedstock for bioethanol production held on November 22, 2022 at Seriaco and De Vinegracia Hall. Given this 22nd day of November 2022 at CBSUA San Jose, Pili, Camarines Sur, signed Vice President for Research and Innovation, Dr. Ramona Isabel Ramirez, our SEC President for Dr. Alberto N. Naperi. So once again, thank you so much, sir. Let's give him again a round of applause. And some photo opportunity. Maraming salamat po. Okay, thank you so much. We are very much grateful of the expertise you've shared with us. And at this moment, to give his closing remarks, may I invite Dr. Vladimir Porunda to deliver the closing remarks. He is our Director of the Extension Services Division. We will just call Dr. Porunda. In the meantime, if you'd like to raise a question again, we will be happy to entertain them. Do you have studies or researches in mind, perhaps, we would like to consult with our expert here? By the way, would like to thank all of the students are from the College of Engineering, Arts and Sciences too. So thank you so much also to Dean Jennifer Ibonia for sending her students here, to Dean Jennifer from the College of Arts and Sciences. Okay, so on behalf of Dr. Furunda, please welcome our Director of the IPMO, Dr. Ian Lucetania. A round of applause, please.
Sir, thank you for the very. So we were part of the team that went to Ilocos back in September. Yeah, so July, sorry. And back then we had really this very big challenge to deliver the use of the distiller that was given to us, and still we are in the process of developing the researches. And by the way that we were able to learn from you, how you were able to do the guerrilla researches back in the days, we are now in the stage of being still challenged or more motivated to do what we were supposed to do back then. So in behalf of the university, the CBSUA, Pili, Calabanga, Pasacao, and Sipocot campuses, the students here, the faculty, the different research centers, and in behalf also of Dr. Foranda, the Extension Director, we would like to thank you and close this program on the use of Nypa fruticans as a biofuel feedstock. Thank you, sir, and thank you again for everyone who attended.
Thank you very much, Engineer Lucetania. I'm sorry for making you a doctor, but we're claiming it. So push na ang PhD or kung ano man ang pwedeng i-doctor. Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's the end of our seminar workshop with our guest lecturer, Dr. Fiorelio Abines. A round of applause once again for our expert here. So at this moment, you might want to approach him, take a photo with him. You might want to enjoy your food or your snacks. You can do that. May we invite everyone with our guest lecturer to be in front for a photo opportunity with sir? Perhaps you can utilize this chair now, sir, because there will be a lot of audience at the back. Students, colleagues, so may we invite you in front for a photo opportunity?